went to Costco the other day and got a bunch of meat. So we are going to make some marinated meats to put in the freezer for quick and easy dinners. Let's get to it. We are going to start with our chicken and just get it all prepped. I really don't like having a bunch of extra fat on my chicken, so I want to get that all trimmed off. So I'm just going to do it all, and then we can get started on the actual marinades. I wouldn't worry about this as much if this was going to go into something that was being braised for a long time, but for the most part, these will just be baked in the oven or put on the grill, so they won't really have time to render that fat off of them. Next, we have our flank steak, and I am going to cut these in half because it's pretty much just David and I most of the time, and I don't eat very much at any one time, so a big, huge piece of meat like this is way overkill for a single meal for us. So trying to decide if I should cut it like this across the grain or like this. I think I'm going to do it this way. So then we can cut across the grain when it's cooked. All right. Now we will give this another wash and we will get our pork prepped. For our pork, this is actually not going to be for meals per se. We are all out of our Italian sausage, so I'm just going to be grinding up a new batch of it, which means we need to get this marinating because it does need to marinate overnight before we do that. However, I'm only going to make one of these pork shoulders into that. So the other one needs to go in a bag to go into the freezer without hopefully making an entirely humongous mess. Because the whole package was 13 pounds, and I don't think we need 13 pounds of Italian sausage. And if we do, I can always pull that one out and make some more with that, or we can use it as a roast of some kind. Oh, and I'm making a mess. This doesn't need to be cubed into really small pieces, just small enough that it can go through my grinder, which has a fairly decent sized mouth. But I also do want to have a decent amount of surface space for the marinade to soak in. And I'm going to leave the majority of the fat on, although not this stuff that's kind of, I don't know, the best way to say it is kind of more slimy compared to this, which is kind of hard. This stuff tends to gum up the grinder, so I am going to cut that off. Now that we have our meats all prepped and ready to go, I am going to get them into their bags, and I want to get the bags all labeled before I do that. So we are going to be making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different marinades. A couple of them we'll use on both the beef and the chicken, and then the Italian sausage marinade as well. But we should have, I believe, 6 packages of chicken and 4 packages of the beef. So yeah, I think that's right. All right, so I'm going to label that many bags. Start with our steaks here, since that is fewer of them. Maybe I should actually open my bags first. I'm going to start with 3 in each bag, but I'm sure I will end up with 4 in most of them. Now, a lot of these recipes are actually recipes, which is rare for me. I oftentimes just make marinades up, but I thought since these are for David to use during the week, that if we really like one, at least he can easily look it up in the future if he wanted to do it again. So I will link the recipes for these, and several of them are completely new to me recipes as well. Couple tried and truths. All right, so only one of them will not have 4. I'm going to start with the ones that I'm going to be using for both the beef and the chicken and get those done first. So those are going to be a Chipotle honey and a peach balsamic, which I thought sounded really tasty. All right, Chipotle honey. And peach balsamic. We will be using the blender to make several of these. And this is kind of why you do this. Yes, making up these marinades is going to be really quick if you wanted to just do it the night of or even the day before. But the nice thing is you don't have to think about it the day before. You can just take the meat out of the freezer and stick it in the fridge, and it will be thawed and beautifully marinated by the next morning or next day. And when you do this all at one time, you're only dirtying the kitchen once. And a lot of the things that you are pulling out, we're going to use in multiple recipes. So you're only pulling it out and putting it away once instead of every single time having to get out those things, dirty the blender, bowls, etc. You're just doing it all one time. All right, first off, we need some garlic. So I'm going to go ahead and put both of those in there. And that is just some frozen garlic from last year's harvest that we are still using up. And then a good amount of honey. And these are some Chipotle in adobo. Let's see, how much do we need? 2 to 4. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and put this whole jar in. I am hoping that I have a lot of jalapenos on my plants right now. They're nice, good size. And I'm hoping that we're going to have a long enough season for them to actually turn red so we can make more of this Chipotle and adobo, because you need red jalapenos to make that. Well, you don't need to, but that's what gives them their kind of their signature red color. Okay. Chili powder. Oh, I don't have very much chili powder. Well, you actually need more than that. I'm not sure if I have more. I actually have some Hatch chili powder that I remade last year. Oh my goodness. So I will use that. What a mess. And a couple teaspoons of paprika. Cumin. And this is some dried oregano. Oddly, this does not have any salt in the recipe, which is very odd. So we are going to be adding salt. And a good amount of oil. Okay, I can't handle the mess. Do a better job later, but at least this gets it partially clean. Let's give this guy a little taste test here. A nice trick for when you're doing a lot of these and you're going to be tasting a lot of things so that you don't dirty a bunch of spoons is have one spoon that is the dipper and one is the one that goes in your mouth, and just fill that spoon. Oh, I forgot the cilantro. Ooh, that's got a kick to it. Yum. Oh, yeah, the cilantro adds just that perfect freshness to it. That's really good. All right. Just going to get half of that poured into the chicken. And the rest into our flank steak. Woo. Try not to pour it all over my phone. Gave that a quick rinse. Get it all mixed in nicely. It's all covered. And then this is ready to go. Our next one is going to be our peach balsamic. So I'm just going to grab out the rest of the ingredients that I need for this. We'll get started on that one. Start with our olive oil again here. And some black pepper. Just a little bit of cayenne. balsamic vinegar. This is our peach jam that we made last year. That smells amazing. And this is some of our Dijon that we also made, which has mellowed out beautifully. And then the one other thing I am going to add that is not in the recipe is a little bit of this red pepper balsamic jelly. I thought it would go well with this recipe. And last but not least, a little bit of salt. I feel like it could use a little more of the peach flavor. It's really good. It's definitely missing something though. Oh, you know what it's missing? Lemon juice. That will help. I actually don't have any lemon juice on hand, so we are going to use lime juice. While we do have the acidity from the vinegar, balsamic, it has its own sweetness to it, so the acidity will really help. Try that again. Oh yeah, that made all the difference. I still am going to add more of the peach jam though. My life a little easier here. Fold back the things. Looking lovely. Two recipes down for dinners. Just making up. I have made chimichurri many times. So I'm not really making it up. I just am aware of what I want to put in it. And basically, chimichurri is kind of one of those cool things that you can just use whatever herbs you kind of have on hand, which right now I happen to have a bunch of basil and parsley that I just harvested from the garden. So we're going to put that in, and a big handful of oregano also when it's in there. And then we just need a good amount of red wine vinegar. You could probably easily use apple cider vinegar too if you don't have red wine vinegar on hand. Again, a good amount of olive oil. Black pepper. More of our frozen garlic here. And that is what this is looking like. Give it a quick taste. Oh, you know what it's missing? Red pepper flakes. We like ours to have a little bit of a kick to it. Not a ton. All right, otherwise it tastes great, so I'm just going to get it in the beef. Usually when I make a chimichurri marinade, I save some of the chimichurri to the side to use with it once it's cooked, but I can just make up a fresh batch when this gets cooked. Another one, done. All right, we will give that a proper clean when we clean up the kitchen. These are going to go into the sink. The last one for the beef. Since I have the garlic out, I might as well use it. And this is just going to be a kind of Mexican style for like tacos or something like that. Some of our hatch chili powder. Good amount of oregano. Cumin. And some coriander. Bit of salt. Olive oil. And I'm going to put just a tiny bit of the lime juice in there too. And our beef is all done. Our next chicken one is going to be really easy, so we will just get that out of the way. This is just some of my Bloody Mary mix that is left over. And some oil. And we will call that done. This is a little bit of an experiment. I have never seen a recipe like using a Bloody Mary mix, but it seems like it would be good. This next one is our garlicky Greek. Lots of garlic in there. Actually, I'm going to add a bit of garlic powder as well. I want it very garlicky. Lots of oregano. Black pepper. Salt. And I would use lemon juice for this one as well, but such is life. And olive oil. And you're going to call that one good. We have 2 left to go. Both of these are recipes. So the first one is going to be our chicken thigh satay. And for that, I need to get out some different ingredients. I've used this recipe many, many times, and it is a family favorite. So this is just some coconut milk. Fish sauce. A good amount of red curry paste. Just a bit of ground turmeric, which will help give it its really nice, pretty yellow color. Doesn't really add all that much flavor. And then I am going to, again, add a little bit of lime juice, though that is not in the recipe, just a touch. And just a bit of sugar. That is in the recipe, the sugar, just the lime juice isn't. And where'd my black pepper go? I'm not going to put too much salt in here because the fish sauce has a lot. Oh, and then some cilantro. I don't have any more fresh, but I just so happened to have freeze-dried a bunch that is actually from our garden, which is exciting. And we have one left to go. This one is going to be our chili garlic. It's actually a wing recipe, but we're just going to use it on our chicken thighs. So lots of garlic. I'm gonna have to use the rest of this. This is just a no soy sauce substitute. And lime juice. Honey. It calls for chili garlic sauce, but we don't have any of that, so I'm just using sambal, which is pretty close. Actually calls for quite a bit of that. Olive oil. And then this is frozen ginger that I'm just going to grate in. This is the best way to grate ginger. So much easier than fresh. And plus it lasts in your freezer for a long time. I go to the trouble to peel it, but I know there's people that don't. And it doesn't seem to make a jot of difference. So actually in the future, I probably won't. All of that goodness. And just like that, you guys, we have 6 chicken dinners and 4 flank steak dinners all ready to go. And now all David has to think about is what kind of side he wants to make with these. So this will be great to have in the freezer. I'm going to do a little cleanup of the kitchen because it's a disaster. Here, let me just show you what the kitchen looks like right now. Yeah, so that's this counter. there's our meat, and the sink is completely full as well. So I'm gonna get this stuff cleaned up a little bit, and then we will finish up with the marinade for our Italian sausage. All right, the kitchen is not cleaned up entirely, but it's closer. So let's just get this going. More garlic, of course. And that will just melt in there. And then we need, let's see, this is for 3 pounds, this recipe. So this is, I think, probably closer to 6. Yeah, over 6, should be. Some ground parsley. I came across this recipe years ago. It's on foodnetwork.com. And I love the way that it has you marinate the meat with all of the seasonings overnight and then grind it with all of the seasonings already mixed in. And this is just a little bit of cayenne. I just think it gives the sausage so much more flavor. Good amount of salt. And then just some red wine. It does also call for ground anise, but I do not have any of that. So, and I don't think I ever have used it because it's not something that I typically have on hand. So the only problem with this is now getting it all mixed in, all of this meat. In fact, I think I'm going to grab the bowl that this was in, mix it all up, and then put it back in the bag. Actually, I'm probably not even going to put it back in the bag. I'll just let it marinate in the bowl. And I'm just going to use my hand to get this mixed in. All right. So let me grab a cookie sheet. Try to have these guys lying flat while they freeze so they don't take up quite as much space. Clearly I will have to space them out in the freezer so they actually freeze. But look at all of this. Isn't that amazing? This will go in the fridge out there, and then this is the extra pork shoulder, which will also go into the freezer downstairs. So all of that, I think, took about an hour and a half. So our cats. There's a bowl over there with the chicken scraps in it, the chicken fat and stuff. And I've now had to chase them away from it because they have jumped up on there behind my back like 3 times. That is how sneaky our cats are. Anyway, so all told, this took about 90 minutes, which that's not bad at all for basically 10 meals. And I have to grind this tomorrow, but that won't take very long. And we'll have 6 pounds of fresh Italian sausage in the freezer as well. So this is a really easy way for you to prep a bunch of meals in your freezer and just make your life easier on the nights when you just really don't want to think about what you are going to feed your family. All right, I will see you guys next time. Thanks for joining. Bye.